Hello and welcome to the next episode of the Self Development with Tactics podcast. And I'm very sorry for me now or today not sounding that good. Something's going on with my voice and health, or I don't know. But the thing is, I really like doing these videos, and so I will just continue making them because I feel like doing it. And today, as you can see in the background, we are actually going to discuss the same thing as yesterday or the past episode. And I'm very sorry for the podcast listeners that today only, I uploaded one main video and one, just vlog audio. But unfortunately enough, the audio file couldn't be extracted from the other episodes. So there were actually two episodes of me discussing articles, especially this one. And for this, you just, quite have to go to YouTube and watch the episode. I'm very sorry for that. But, I just tried a lot of things. I tried to convert all these things to use different file formats and so on. But, I couldn't help myself, and, there was no solution for my problem, unfortunately. Just, if you have some problems, just Google it, and then you will probably see or find some solutions for your problem. But I have forgotten to introduce myself as quite, always. I'm Christopher Wolk, and I'm a 17-year-old graphic design student from Austria, and I'm pretty into self-development. And today we're going to discuss Triggers by Joey Sugarman or Zuckerman, whatever he's called. This is a book mainly about marketing and what triggers human beings have. And I think we go straight into it, and then you will see what this book is all about. And we are actually again on the Samuel Thomas Davis, it's everything written together.com website, which provides pretty good summaries at my point of view. But as I said, let's go into trigger 16. Linking, a technique of using what the consumer already knows and understands to what you're selling to make the new product easier to understand and relate to, which is, kind of makes sense because people always like things they are quite familiar with, and often they do not really like, new things and trying new things out and so on. The 17th one, desire to belong, which is, I think, common because people always like to be, in some kind of groups, and that's why you see a lot of times, there are the gamers, and there are these lifestyle people, and there are these fitness junkies, all these different groups. Because I think, and at my point of view, it's like, or I think it's also scientifically proven that people really like to be in groups and, to belong to something, which, sounds a little bit weird, but I think it's actually like that. But let's see what he says. People want to belong to a group that already own a brand. Which I think by saying brand, he actually means, like I was telling, these are the fitness junkies and these are the gamers and so on. So they they got a dedicated name, and they stand for what their name is, some kinda. The 18th trigger is desire to collect. There is a strong urge in human psyche to collect, which is, I think, just because of nature. Because in our really early days we just had to collect things to survive. Just we had to search for, I don't know, wood to make fire, or to search, or it's not kind of search, but search animals to hunt and so on. I think that's really human nature, and this is just something I really love about reading about all these things, because you then see that a lot of psychological stuff is because of nature protecting us, or actually just actual things that were used by us or useful for us, in our early days, just like this one, just right now. But the 19th trigger is sense of urgency. Make your call to action as compelling as possible with a sense of urgency that won't allow procrastination, which always is like, you have a certain amount of time to get this product because, the sale is only about 5 minutes from now and so on, which you might have often seen before. The 20th one, exclusivity. To be the owner of something that the few others can own is one of the strong human motivations, which makes sense. The 21st one is simplicity. And by keeping the offer simple, you, in essence, make the choice for the prospect. And I think in terms of simplicity, I just was thinking about, just really make the offer so simple that everyone can understand it. But then I just thought about, there are certain target groups and, there are different target groups. And, some of them just, are maybe just really high intelligent people who, I don't know, who are just, in the scientifical business or studied something scientifical. And I think they won't really like to read something that's on such a pretty low standard of writing that it's not really appealing to them. And therefore, I think, or at my point of view, you just really have to see whom you're targeting and just make your offer in the language these people use, which is just, quite, I think it's just quite hard or tough to see or to analyze what actually what they're talking about, how they talk, and it's just about watching and listening and yeah. The 22nd one, guilt. Give something to somebody and you automatically engage a feeling of reciprocity, which is, I think, just guilt. Which I do not understand and I do not see, the practical connection for me, but I hope I will later. Trigger 23 is specificity, which can some sort of be just what I'm talking about, targeting groups or target groups. When you use specifics, your advertising copy is a lot more believable. By using specifics, you enhance your offer and make your offer more credibility. Just have to translate this one, and I always translate with deep L. Yeah, that's, not bringing me anywhere. Let's see. Yeah, it's with all these translators, DeepL is a really gorgeous and great working translator because of I think I just have to read if it's really using deep learning or just artificial intelligence, because I'm always talking about it and do not even know that is actually what it is. But with all these translators, it's quite hard for them to or especially such short sentences to translate correctly so that you can actually understand them. But let's go ahead with trigger 24, and I think these are 30. Yeah, 30. 24, familiarity. People are much more likely to buy if they are familiar with the brand, name, the product, or the company offering the product. The more familiar your product or prospect is with your brand, the more inclining they are to accept and buy your product, which makes totally sense. If you just know that this company makes good products and quality products and they have a good pricing for the product, so the price and quality relation is just really good, you're just more likely to buy from them, which totally makes sense. But it's pretty hard. And this is something that's, really, really going into branding and not really selling. Just, which reminds me on social media. On social media, you can actually make ads, for example, on Instagram or something, and really cheap, by the way. So if you have a product, I would definitely use social media to market your things, because I think, as I remember correctly, I could, with my social media account on Instagram, reach, I think it was 220 people for $1 a day, which is, or €1, which is, then, yeah, it's actually €1 and $1 is just the same now, I think. But let's see, actually. So €1 is $1.14, and €1 is 0.1990, sorry, British pounds. And I didn't know that the Canadian dollar is actually there's actually such a difference between the US dollar and the Canadian dollar. And actually the Swiss francs are so €1 is 1.13 Swiss francs, which I didn't really know. I always thought that, the Swiss francs are just really, really good currency, or just a high valuable currency. But yeah, trigger 25, patenting. If you have a product to sell and others have sold a similar product, find out how they did it and pattern your approach after theirs. But don't copy. Later, when you're successful, you can pioneer new ways to sell your products, which is, always quite a good idea. Just, if something is working for someone, the chances are pretty high that it is working for you if you just do, the really same as they are doing. Even though this reminds me of this whole mentoring thing that's going around now on social media and in general in society or society. I always say society, and I do not really know if society is actually, the same, or, just another pronunciation of society, or if just, completely wrong. Trigger 26, hope. An implied hope tied to your product can be a very strong motivational factor in causing your product to buy from you, a prospect, to buy from you, which is, totally true. If you are a prospect and you see a product that seems to be a solution to your problem, and it's really building up that hope of just solving your problem, this is a good thing, because because you see that there is actually a chance for you to solve your problem, and this product is giving you the hope. Trigger 27, curiosity. Use this trigger to keep the prospect interested and involved until the very end of your presentation. Especially, I think involved is always good for example, on-stage presentations. And if you're really into on-stage presentations, Russell Brunson, I actually know his name, the founder of ClickFunnels, or just some kind of co-founder, I guess. He made a book about, actually it's some kind about marketing, but at the end there is a lot of on-stage tips and or just selling presentation tips. I will definitely go through this if you just need it. At my point of time where I was reading it, I didn't really need it, but there are actually quite a lot of good tips for you. Yeah, and in terms of the prospects being involved into your presentation, just asking questions may be a good idea, or so a Q&A thing, to initially or actually just destroy their fears. So if you have an on-stage presentation and you are talking about your product, and somebody just asks you if there is a money back guarantee, and you tell them, yeah, there's a 100% money back guarantee, you're just eliminating their fears, which then might lead to you selling more of your products. Trigger 28, harmonize. Get your prospects to agree with your truthful and accurate statements and start nodding their heads in agreement. This is actually that was also mentioned in the book, is that when people start nodding their head, it's actually a very, very good sign, because they totally agree with what you're talking. They're just, understanding you, and they just feel like, I think as the author said, this is, the best how should I say, the best sign that they will actually buy a product afterwards. So after the show or on stage presentation or whatever. But yeah, trigger 27, mental engagement. By challenging the mental process of the reader or the viewer and not making your presentation too obvious, you will evoke a sense of mental engagement that leaves the prospect with good feelings toward your message. Which plays into the hands of, I think it was actually How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie, the book I always mention all the time because there's such a lot of things that can be implemented in just every kind or part of your life. This is actually something that he mentioned, which is that people really really like to find something out themselves and create something themselves, and just having the feeling of just this is because of me, or I've created it, or I've known that. And he brought the example of, I think it was a boss, and so his worker, and the worker had he thought that this was a great idea, and then his boss said in this kind of conference room or conference in general that this idea is actually pretty shit, and so on. But the thing is, afterwards, or just some days or weeks later, the boss was talking about this idea, but was talking about this idea in his way. So just like that he had the idea and he made the research, or I don't know, it was just his thing. And then the worker could have said, this was actually something I was talking about, but this would have been a really wrong decision, because then you would have taken his pride of him really achieving this himself, and this pleasure kind of thing. Yeah. Trigger 13, or not 13 but 30, honesty. Be truthful in everything you say, almost to a point where you are disarmingly truthful, which is, I think, in general, in being a human, very important. Just being truthful all the time, not just fucking people over. And this is also something I've been struggling just today, because I've seen that actually buying things from Amazon and selling it on eBay seems to be an actual thing these days. But at my point of view, it's just you're just some kind of fucking people over, because especially because you ship then your products or the Amazon product in an Amazon box to them, and when they are like, was this an actual product from Amazon, you just have to tell them, yeah, I was pricing you more for maybe my service to just search this product on Amazon. But the thing is, there is just always a way to move everything in a perspective where you can say, yeah, okay, it's working and it's not that ethical wrong and so on. But at the end, in terms of this thing, I just wanted to start it because I thought this could work, and this probably works. Just buying things from Amazon, which may be way cheaper than on eBay, and then selling them on eBay, and then directly shipping it from eBay from Amazon to your actual customer on eBay. It will work, definitely, in some kind of way, not maybe that big, but it will work, or would work, whatever. But the thing is, sorry, just have to correct everything, because I do not really want to see or let my phone or my microphone be seen, because it's a little bit distracting, I think. I think that is actually not really the ethical right. It feels for me like this, but I can't help myself, it's just what it is. But let's see. So be truthful in everything you say, and so on. And I think that's an actual pretty good advice, because kindness always wins, and the truth always wins, and that's my standpoint of life, some kind of. But then we actually had to the summary of this book. The things above were just triggers themselves. But let's see. It is estimated that 95% of the reasons a prospect buys involve a subconscious decision, which I think makes sense. Once a commitment is made, the tendency is to act consistently with that commitment, which means I think that if you bought something, the chances are much higher that you will buy something again, which was, I think, the consistency trigger, which you can see in the YouTube episode from yesterday, which basically means that if you buy something, for example on Amazon, and I've shown it on Amazon, then you will get some other products shown to you which are some kind of related to this product, and then the chances seem to be much higher for you to buy this product or to buy another product additionally, because you've just bought the other product before, How do you determine or learn about their nature? There are two ways. The first is to become an expert on the product you're selling. Specifically, learn about the emotional appeal of the product or service to a prospect. The second thing you can do is tap into your own broad knowledge. So I think getting an expert in what you are selling or trying to sell is pretty important, because if you, for example, as Gary Vee was doing, selling wine, and you do not have any clue about wine, it may not be the best thing, because you just can't give actual value to the people you're serving. I think it's just always about value, and people will definitely come to you if they need the value you're providing to them, which then leads to more customers, because they actually know that you have some good information for them. Yeah. But I don't know what they mean by or tap into your own broad knowledge, which I think just use what you know by now. Every product has a unique nature to it, a unique way of relating itself to the consumer. If you understand this nature and find a way to best relate the product to your prospect, you will hold the key to a successful sales program. I think, yeah, that's true. Every product is some kind of its own thing, which makes sense, but also for the customer. But I don't really get what they mean, and I hope you get it. And if just tell me in the comments if you're on YouTube, or just DM me and then I'll post it, or write a tweet or something. Just to give value to others. In selling, it is important to understand not only the nature of the product you're offering, but the nature of your prospect as well, which is the target group thing I was just talking about before, or some kind of before. Get to know the nature of your prospect relative to the nature of your product. Become an expert on your prospect. Now I think the nature of the product is how the product is presented. There are different ways how products are presented, besides the different product types. So you will, for example, present an automobile way different than a hand cream or something. But the thing is, inside the hand cream world, there are different kinds, like the organic ones and the beauty ones and so on. And each of them has in their own market a way to be presented. For example, an organic hand cream, which now I have or can talk with my graphic design knowledge, or this artistic and creating knowledge, that an organic one will be presented with green colors, so that you just emphasize the relation to the nature, and you may be putting leaves on it, or just then also some person, which is always good, and so on. So I think this is, how this product is always, or this product is. So how it is, and then how your prospect is. Yeah, I think I got that wrong. Right, sorry. So get the nature right of be a good listener, talk to your prospects and those who know and have dealt with them. You'll soon discover the very nature of your prospect and the emotional reasons he or she will buy. And the emotional reasons, you can then really target them. So if you know that these want to feel good or want to feel beautiful, you will make your slogan like, feel beautiful or feel good or something, or just emphasize it with really showing or making your product package this way you want the prospect feel about it, or hoping they feel through it. Whenever Sugarman or Sugarman, I think it's actually Sugarman because it's just written actually the same, sold a product that contained some obvious blemish or fault. He brought the blemish or fault up first in his copy. In short, he shared his dirty laundry openly and honestly right up front. By presenting the negative up front, he reduced and often eliminated a major objection to a sale. You can't just resolve an objection without raising it. You are wasting, and I think it's actually just some kind of contradictive that he shows what the product is not doing well to actually sell it or to make it look better. But this plays in hands with the truthful thing of everything and so on. So you can't just resolve an object without first raising it. You are wasting your time resolving any objection unless you raise it first. If you raise an objection that really isn't much of an objection in the mind of your prospect, you are raising a red flag that doesn't need to be raised, let alone resolved. So which means that you can't just resolve, and I have to translate this one, and I think on the previous episode I've already translated this one. Yeah, that's true. You can't just resolve an object without first raising it. So if your prospect doesn't really know that there is some kind of fault with your product, you can't just, how should I say, solve it or something. And I just now understand the red flag thing, which is then, just pointing something out that is not good at the product, if I get it wrong, or right, sorry. Pointing something out that is not good with this product, but your actual customer doesn't really care about if it's, if this is at, good at this thing or not good at that thing. And, if he doesn't really care, you're just, pulling a red flag or raising a red flag unnecessarily. So in direct response, using a gimmick to get involved with the reader is often referred to as using an involvement device, something that involves the consumer in the buying process. An involvement device that ties in with what you are selling can be very effective. Advertising copy that involves the reader can be quite effective, especially if the involvement device is part of the advertising. Whatever you say, you've got to walk your talk. If you say you're going to do something, do it. If you make a promise, deliver. If you agree to provide quality service, deliver quality service. In short, walk your talk. People love stories, and one of the really good ways to relate to your product is to tell a story. If you tell a story in your sales presentation that is relevant either to selling your product, creating an environment for selling your product, or getting the prospect involved with your sales presentation, you are using this wonderful and powerful trigger in a very effective way to sell your product or service. And at my point of view, everything also on social media and every kind of marketing thing is just about telling a story. Some kind of. A good story could or should capture a person's attention, relate the product or service to the sales message, and help you bond with the prospect. Establishing your authority is something that should be done in each sales presentation, regardless of how big or how little you are. Knowledge is a strong way to express authority, which then means, or just, actually says what I was talking just before, or was talking about just before, is that, to actually have knowledge in this area is, the most important thing, because if you can't provide this value and this then, as they say, authority of really knowing what you're talking about and providing something good for your prospects or customers, because you actually know that this is good and they do not, creates the authority. Yes. So authority can be expressed by dress, which is totally true. It's yeah. In Sugarman's advertising, he always wants to convey through examples or by comparison that what the consumer is buying is a good value. By comparing your product with others and proving its value, you are providing the prospect with the logic from which he or she can justify a purchase, which makes totally sense. This is actually a pretty long way to go, and I'm already on 30 minutes. And I think actually I'll stop there and go ahead in the next episode, because often, going or just, moving towards the end of an article for me just then feels like, rushing pretty much through it and not really giving you what I really know or could say in terms of this topic, which I do not want to do, which is, not good for, or, it feels not good. So with that being said, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I hope everything is good at your place or with you or whatever, and I'll actually see you the next time. And if there are any questions, just comment down below, or, write me a DM, or comment on my posts, or something else. So there are all links in the description. And I'll see you the next time.